Good afternoon, protest followers. How was your morning?
Yeah, mate.
All right, Chris. So we've done some research into this press card. It's not worth the plastic it's written on. All it is a simple website of an alliance of people saying that they belong to the media, okay? You're not a professional journalist. You're not undertaking paid work, all right? So what you've done, you've left the Greater Sydney area, come to regional New South Wales, you're unvaccinated, you haven't been tested, and what you're doing is putting people's lives at risk. For what? For what? What are you trying to prove here, sir? If you have COVID-19, you're now spreading it to everyone else down here. Why? We all need to play our part, all right? You're coming from Greater Sydney area down to a rest area where you've got lots of people, truck drivers, people coming in and out that are now going to travel all over the country. What are you trying to prove? All you're doing here is putting people's lives in danger. Take your identification. The officer over there has told me he's already issued you several infringement notices. You're committing criminal offences here. You need to get in your car and move on, or you're going to be arrested. Can I be any clearer?
No.
Excellent. On your way, sir. Thank you. What are you trying to prove? What are you hoping to achieve? You're putting people's lives at risk. Take your seat. Get out of here.
See you, Harrison.
Yeah. All right. So that was my morning. That wasn't meant to be the story. The story was meant to be a truckies protest, which was going to blockade the M1 at some point during the day. And for most of it, it was look at some cars, going on a quick bushwalk. Trying to make my way to the motorway. And then finally, isn't that beautiful? Setting up a chair and waiting for something to begin. And so I did. I sat there for a while. And along with my pleasant compatriots in the comments, you kept me entertained while nothing happened, which I thought would a 51% chance nothing would happen. But there was a 49% chance something would, which meant up in the morning to go. Now, that's when one of the nicest interactions of the morning began, if I can share that with you now, with the first senior constable, Situ.
I'll talk to this guy behind me, shall I? How you going?
There's Senior Constable Situ from the Traffic and Light Patrol Command. How are you this morning?
Good, good.
That's good.
Live streaming as well.
Oh, yeah,
Here
that's
for work.
cool. That's cool. What do you do for work?
Exactly what you see here. I'm a journalist.
Oh, okay. And your work, have you got any identification?
Already well ahead of you there.
Well, thank you. So what are you up to today, sir?
I hear there's a truckie strike. Same reason I think you're here.
Possibly could be.
All good. I had a great interaction with Officer Situ. He just wanted to see if I was meeting the rules and laws. Now, 48 hours before this, had sat down and it did take me the best part of an hour to work out, am I permitted to travel there? And we'll get into that later on. But for this moment, Officer Situ is trying to work out, am I allowed to be there? And it's a fair question. These rules change quickly and it's hard to work out what you can and can't do. So all good. And heck, plausibly, I may have broken them. That's the journey that we go on to try and work them out. He comes back to me.
Where's your head officer?
Pardon me?
Are you, where are you?
Oh, I haven't got the subtitles. But yes, I'm a freelancer. Where's my head office? And he's trying to work out where my head office is through some of this. And that's a fair question. Maybe the head office needs to be part of it. Or look, increasingly as I've gone through the day, I don't know what the rules are. And it seems like a lot of people don't know. Because he said, look, I'm not offering you an infringement now, but I might later on, but nothing at this time. You're free to go. Great. Cool. He did mention some details that he wanted me to return to Sydney because I hadn't had a negative COVID test in the last 7 days. But he wasn't clear about that. It was fine. He asked me to head on back to Sydney. All good. Before I could, though, I'm going to play again for what I ran into on the way back to the car. Now, I've already seen Officer Situ. I already explained to him what happened, why I'm there, what my intentions are, and what have you. I'd sat by the side of the road for about 20 minutes trying to look for absolutely nothing that's happening. And when we look here, that's when I took a seat and I was here. This second officer, Harrison, came up to me and asked me for my ID. So a second stop and identify within 5 minutes. No worries, that happens all the time. But as he took my ID, he's asking me some questions. I said, talk to Officer Situ. He was within visual distance. And so they spoke for a bit. Even then, even after speaking with the other officer, Officer Harrison came back, and here's what he said when he came back with my ID. Again, I'll give it to you again. I see a lot of this, and I'm still surprised by what I saw when I saw this.
G'day, mate.
All right, Chris. So we've done some research into this press card. It's not worth the plastic it's written on. All it is a simple website of an alliance of people saying that they belong to the media, okay? You're not a professional journalist. You're not undertaking paid work, all right? So what you've done, you've left the Greater Sydney area, come to regional New South Wales, you're unvaccinated, you haven't been tested, and what you're doing is putting people's lives at risk. For what?
We've got examples of two interactions. One I'd say was pleasant, fine, normal, and one was one of the more unpleasant I've had. One of the more unpleasant that I've had. And assuming I was breaking the laws and the rules, and assuming that I'm not a legitimate journalist, and assuming everything that he believes about me, that I'm putting people's lives at risk for my own pleasure, right? Are you sure? And that's really important when I'm in the field, when I see a protester who might be doing something wrong, or a police officer who might be doing something wrong. This is an intense moment when you're out there. Who's right, who's wrong? It's not in the moment that you can really make a firm judgment about it. Emotions are so high. Adrenaline, hormones, everything's there screaming at you. The noise. It's very hard in that moment. And that's why I try and avoid having complete one way or the other views on some of these things, and let things pan out later on and have a think about that. So if Officer Harrison here is trying to certainly enforce these laws that I've broken, 100% get that. And the spirit of these laws is to make sure that we're not spreading a virus to each other. Yep, great, good. Is this the best way to do that? Is this going to enforce compliance? Is this going to... This isn't in pursuit of the goals. This isn't working. This isn't where you want to be going, assuming that's where you want to go. Most people come away from this looking at this police interaction, which is increasingly common now that we're under a COVID restriction, which is one of the most common interactions we will have with other people outside is with the police, because the police are here to try and keep us indoors. So we will see lots and lots of police cars and officers and helicopters. That's just part of our new normal. So is this going to help us kind of work with this? I don't see, and I've rolled this over on the way home, how this will help. This isn't about the laws. We'll assume I've broken the laws and terrible things and very bad. That's not about this. We're going to get into whether I have or not later on, assuming that I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't sit down for an hour, assuming, as Officer Situ said, August 30. Apparently these laws changed at 8 hours and 45 minutes before this incident occurred. So assuming you don't even want to offer someone leeway that, oh, the laws changed 8 hours ago. Yeah. So assuming there's zero tolerance. Are we getting there? Is this really getting you there? I'm not sure. So here's another way that Officer Harrison could have been having a bad day is he's seen a lot of my type. He's seen a lot of people who say, the people who hold the phone up in the face and like, I'm recording you. Don't do anything. I'm going to... Central Coast can be a different type of place, different demographics. He may have just come from a difficult arrest. That can make it hard. And he's yet another idiot with a bloody selfie stick running around thinking he's a journalist. Get out of here. Okay? Assuming that still has happened, still can't see it. Assuming you've got Harrison, he's just come away from a difficult arrest. You know what? He's short on sleep because they're rough on overtime, because they're, double timing some people, because there's not enough cars to go around. These kind of worst scenarios. I still don't see it. Officer Situ was able to be polite and even give a move on order. Harrison even spoke with Situ after that. Doesn't add up. Something doesn't add up. I'm going to take a moment to address some of the comments. Thank you for listening to some of that while it's there. Important part is, he was very opinionated. And it is your judgment we rely on as police officers, and your opinions in order to enforce laws, the spirit of them, community policing, and understand that this is important. Police govern with and for very much the Pelian principle of with the people's consent. And I know you've heard you work for us. Well, kind of. They work for all the people, not just you. Police don't work for you. They work for everyone. And the rules that they're enforcing are supported by a lot of people. And I'm not an activist in this sense. I recognize a lot of people have the common chant that you work for us. Yeah, by us, not just the people who are in that protest. All of society, of which there's a lot of people who don't want the virus spreading and want strict, harsh rules to make sure that's happening. It's just the poll of public opinion. It's just how it is. And Gladys and Fuller and everyone watches the poll of public opinion because how that swings. Yeah, maybe, sort of. He may have been bored, and that's why you've got one of the things I say about Antifa is that Antifa want to police their streets, defund the police, get rid of them. Yes, and Socialist Alliance with them, and a lot of far left groups want to get rid of the police. Cool, and they want to replace the police themselves. Cool, creative mob, how about it? Challenge though, the reason why we have the police is so that they're accountable. So that if I want to, and I probably will drop Central Coast Command an email just about this, just with some general questions like, Commander, are you fully satisfied with how this went? I've had some viewers ask me some questions who weren't particularly happy with it, wanted to offer you a chance if you want to address it. I'd love to speak with someone from Central Coast Command. I know they won't, that's fine, that happens. But things can have a bad day. And because I live stream uncut, and my goal is to try and present a true and real instance of it, I don't feel like that was something that presented well for this particular officer. Situ was great, but I don't like giving someone who may have just been having a bad day a bad rap. And that goes for protest organizers as well. You may just have not been saying things just perfectly, and you will need a moment to compose yourself. You've probably seen some of the interviews I have with protest organizers where I've said, hey, take a minute, I'll come back to you in a minute, and I go interview someone else, and I come back, and they're good if they've come back off stage and they're really hot. So I just don't think this was perfect. Now, work travel permit. We are going to get into whether I did or didn't. What people, no, there was no. The only people I interacted with at that point was actually officer. Why did you straight out say that you aren't vaccinated? Pfizer isn't available for another couple of months, but it's getting closer. So normal it is to state your medical history. That is an interesting one. We used to discriminate people based on their HIV positivity or hepatitis, syphilis, gonorrhea. It's a long tradition through history. We've got a new disease to find discrimination for. Many people do. Sorry, Pablo. That's the truth. A lot of people want these rules. They don't exist out of nowhere. You can travel to them. You can find comments. I speak with them. Running alongside protests, you see lots of them jeering. It's real. Is it a majority? It's close. I would say it's just over a majority. It's certainly a plurality. It's an uncomfortable and pleasant truth for a lot of people I know, but that's what it is. what it is. Yeah, normal traffic. Nothing is happening, Jody. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. All right. So let's have a look. Rules. I called Service New South Wales on the way home and I got some clarity. And we're going to call them again twice because I called them twice on the way home to get some clarity. I also called Central Coast Command for a question, Gosford Police, and got a different answer. So we're going to do it on the phone, and I'm going to call them after we go through some of these pages. And I'm going to call them and say, hey, can I record this call before I do? And they'll say, they might say no. I don't know. They might not want to be recorded, but we're going to find out. Let's find out. And this is not going to be the world's most exciting stream, finding out what you can and can't do. But I wanted to share with you what can you do. Last time I checked on this was Saturday night. So let's have a look. You may need to register when traveling for work outside Greater Sydney. All right. Now, it doesn't include the Central Coast, which is where I was, but it was within 50 kilometers of Greater Sydney. I checked this, and then I went to, hold on, can we go and have a look at the legislation, because this page may not have been updated. This is what the lady on the phone, Nicole and Angela, the two calls that I made, both confirmed the same point. I wanted to go to the legislation itself. So all the old legislation that we've got here with quarantine and what have you, it's all about these Delta outbreak restrictions. And you see here, this one from the 29th of August, which came into effect on the 30th of August. I think that's what Officer Situ is trying to suggest that I haven't abided by. 30th. All right. So you can see that we've got a lot. 26th of June, July. But we'll go to the not enforce, most recent one. 50-page document. Hope you're patient. Restrictions applying in general. Stay at home areas. Stay closure of premise maximum. Outdoor gathering? No. Fitted working from? No. I am not from an area of concern, before anyone has any concern about that. Closure of premises. Outdoor gatherings and vehicles, maximum. No one was traveling with me. Entering, leaving Greater Sydney. Right. This clause applies to a person who resides in Greater Sydney if the person goes more than... No, I am not part of this clause. Okay, all right. This clause applies to a person who resides in Greater Sydney if the person is leaving Greater Sydney goes more... No, none of these apply to me. Okay, so I don't need... Why don't need to... It doesn't apply to me. I'm leaving Greater Sydney, but goes more than 50 kilometers. Right? Do you guys just want to skip to the phone call? Let me check some of the comments, actually. Have a look at some of the comments over here. Thanks. Thanks, Peter. Just be cool. You're not going to win anything in the moment. Harrison was not going to be convinced by anything I said. He wasn't there for a discussion. He was there to speak. That's fine. He's probably used to that and found that tool works. But yeah. Glenn, what about your press pass? Are you a real journalist or not? For one, what's a real journalist? So a lot of people ask me about the International Federation of Journalists and say, there we go. The International Federation of Journalists, International Federation of Journalists is the only, at least most countries, organization that is an accreditation for journalists. And here's the funny part with becoming an IFJ member. To become an IFJ member, you must be a journalist. It's the whole work experience question. A lot of people ask me about how to become a journalist. I just went out and started covering protests. I didn't wait for a press pass or a media pass or anything like that. I just started going to protests, and I carried my phone around and I'd ask people questions. And I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So if you want to become a journalist, just start. Just go start finding stories and reporting on them. There's until you start doing it, it's hard to become accredited for it. It's a little bit like work experience. It's hard to get a job unless you have experience, but at the same time, how do you get the experience without it? Just go work. Just go do it. If all you want is just a press pass, well, that's not going to work out, because they'll look at it and say, "What are you doing?" Let's have a look at what it is. Yes, that's it. The only press pass endorsed by national journalist organizations in 130. So if that was Channel 7, would they get the same treatment for a press pass comment? So interesting one when it comes to Channel 7 is it's part of the brand. And branding and reputation matters. If I was an inner city command or within Sydney protests, I would know so many of the people there, because I've been going. It's like going to work. When the police go to the same place, I'm always in the same place too. You get to know many of the officers' names, faces. And you're just like, oh, I've seen you before. Hey, Barnesy, how you going? You just know these different people, and you have often interactions with many of these officers, and you speak with them and you say good day, because a lot of people don't like it. It's like, oh, don't talk to the police. We work together. We go to the same protests. It's the same workplace. That doesn't mean we're part of the same company, but we're both at the same workplace, which is protests. So, you just try and build a good relationship where you can, because you're going to see them again tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that. And you just be polite, respectful, kind as you can. All right. Do we want to give Service New South Wales a call and try and work out what is what?
Welcome to Service New South Wales. Please listen carefully, as our options have recently changed. If you or your business have been impacted by COVID-19, or you have a general question about COVID-19 or the National Vaccination Program, please press 1. If you would like information about COVID travel permits or nominated visitors, please press 2.
Oh, no, that's me.
If you would like, please note, your call may be recorded or monitored for quality and training purposes. If you are calling about a business rebate, applications are now open. Please visit www.service.nsw.gov.au. If you are calling about financial assistance for individuals, please visit www.servicesaustralia.gov.au.
I applied for this, by the way. I'll come back to that. Ugh. You don't need to listen to that delightful music for a bit. But yes, we are going to ask Service New South Wales what we can and can't do, because again, legislation's hard. And I may have read this and got it wrong. Or Harrison may have read it and got it wrong, or someone. This is hard, especially for the police who need to listen to this and update themselves. If you look at these dates, 28th, 29th, 25th, 23rd, 21st, 16th, 14th, 12th, this is hard for them. Ultimately, it is tempting to just say, you're bad, get out of here. But it's the journey for us to learn what we can and can't do, because it's important. These laws we need to obey. If you want to change these laws, you need to lobby your MP and go through that journey. You need to convince your friends and family of a different view. If you feel that these are too onerous, you're not going to be able to change these laws by standing in front of the guy and saying, no, you can't do it. It's not going to change a thing. I'm not moving homes intersecting property, and I didn't go more than 50 kilometers for work. Yes, I carry the ID. Good. And I produced it immediately for the officer. Not working on construction. No, that's it. Leaving Greater Sydney. Goes more than 50. No. Not entering premises. Okay, here we go.
Welcome to Services Southwest. My name is Mara. How can I help you today?
Hey, Mara, my name's Chris. Is it okay if I record this call?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm just trying to work out what I can do for work outside Greater Sydney. I want to do some photography and videography outdoors on the Central Coast. I live in Ryde, not an area of concern.
Yes.
It's less than 50 kilometers from Greater Sydney. Can I do that?
Are you fully vaccinated?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I know if you're fully vaccinated, you can be outside, like doing activities with 4 more people who are fully vaccinated. Yeah.
So this is not an outdoor gathering. This is for work, outdoors, on my own. Less than 50 kilometers from Greater Sydney.
So you're just going to be on your own and it's for your work and you cannot do your work from home?
No, I cannot
do. So you need to get out? Correct. Okay, so can I put you on hold for a second?
Sure.
Thank you.
Both Nicole and Angela that I called, the first 2 calls, I straight away knew what I was on about. Mara thought I was talking about outdoor exercise there, which this isn't. No, I don't know the test. But, well, the clause doesn't apply because I'm not going more than 50 kilometers to Greater Sydney, right? But assume it's more than 50 kilometers to Greater Sydney. Or I'm not going into the premises. And it's not a residence. And the rest of it just doesn't apply because we're not going into premises and we're not going. He's leaving Greater Sydney goes more than 50 kilometers. Well, it's not more than 50 kilometers. Not inspecting property. Carried ID. Well, that's. I'm not entering Greater Sydney. I love how they include that explicitly. Taking a holiday in Greater Sydney is not explicit. Oh, dear. No. All right, so what is my reasonable excuse to... Let's do it the other way. I've left Greater Sydney. Can I return to Greater Sydney? A reasonable excuse to me entering to go to the person's... Yes, that's why I returned to Greater Sydney. No. Done.
Are you still there?
Hi, Mara.
Hi, yeah. First, I need to let you know that you cannot record this call.
Okay.
Because
no worries.
It's not going to be
kind of permission for you. You cannot use it.
Okay. Thanks,
But
Mara.
you
Have a
just-
good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
okay, bye.
Try a second one.
Welcome to Service New South Wales. Please listen carefully as our options have recently changed. If you or your business have been impacted by COVID-19 or you have a general question about COVID-19, please note
I might
your
actually have
call may
trouble
be
getting someone
recorded
being
or
okay
monitored
with
for quality and
recording a
training
call.
purposes.
That could be a challenge.
If you are calling about a business rebate, applications are now open. Please visit www.service.nsw.gov.au. If you are calling about financial assistance for individuals, please visit www.servicesaustralia.gov.au.
Right, back to that. I'm not from an area of concern, and it's not more than 50 kilometers out of Greater Sydney. Tell me, guys, what do you think? Let's have a look at the comments and let's see if we get a different interpretation here of some of these rules and laws. Anyone else dancing to the music? Oh, yeah. They can record conversation, but you cannot. Oh, kind of. Yeah, Glenn, it's hard, and I'm not being harsh on them because of it. It's just it's really hard for the enforcers and us to follow it. The whole theory around why we should be doing it, that's not the point. We've got these laws. Think of the ridiculous laws you see on some other things that we've just got to follow, all right? This is just how it is. You can call them ridiculous, you can call them terrible, and then you get on and you follow them. She didn't quite know what it was. That's true. That's true. So, Henry, I'm not here to try and fight the fines. That's not what this is about. This is a discovery process to learn what can and can't we do. We really have remade a lot of how society works in the past, week on what you can and can't do. This is an opportunity, I hope, to share with you on let's relearn the boundaries of where we can go and what we can do, because bumping into Harrison, that's not going to help us abide by these rules. It's just going to make everyone very, very afraid. And that's actually not always the most useful tool for compliance. That's how you get.
Welcome to Service New South Wales. You're speaking with Lani. Can I start with your name, please?
Hi, Lani. My name's Chris, and I'm just going to record this call if I can. I've got some questions. Thank you. I've got some questions about leaving Greater Sydney for work. I've got a photography job on my own, landscape, just north of Brooklyn. It's not inside a residence. It's not more than 50 kilometers from Greater Sydney. I'm not fully vaccinated, and I haven't had a COVID test in the past 7 days, but I'm also not entering a residence, and I won't be stopping anywhere else on the way.
Okay, so you want to know if you'll be able to go, is that correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, how else can I navigate this?
Okay, so unfortunately photography doesn't fall under a authorised worker on the website or any of the information we have. Photography businesses have been given no real clarification of I don't know how to say it. They can't go ahead with their work, but if you want, I can ask a team leader if anything's changed, although I'm sure it hasn't.
So, authorized workers can travel outside Greater Sydney.
Yeah, but I don't think photography is considered authorized workers.
But only authorized workers Can.
Only authorized workers can travel for work. That's correct.
Only authorized workers can travel for work.
Yes.
This is the first time I've heard this before. Okay, great. Retail.
Do you want me to read the authorized workers list for you off the website?
No, I've got it here in front of me.
Okay. So as far as we've been told, the only people that can travel for work are the authorized workers on the list.
Media services. Does that apply?
Is it for a corporation?
Yes, I'm freelancing photography for a corporation. I'm working for myself, so I'm self-employed, but I freelance all the time. I sell my photographs to,
Yeah, so industry sectors on the authorized workers list. Sorry, I can't actually see media or telecommunications.
Point 12, information,
Yep,
media, and
so telecommunication services, internet service providers, web search portals, or data processing services, data specialists and technicians, data storage, journalism, and media services for news and other critical public communication purposes. So it would have to be if you are a media service for, like, for example, 7 News, and you're going to do media purposes for them, that's what they would just consider critical public communication purposes.
journalism. When you say they, what does that mean?
The rules and who has put the rules in place.
For news and other. Okay, so how would I have a list? So depending on who I sell my photographs to would determine. So help me out here.
Yeah. So as far as I can see on here, unless you are going to sell the photographs or unless you're contracted by a critical public communications agency,
Critical. Okay.
then it wouldn't fall under authorized worker.
Critical public communications agency list. How do I find a list of critical communications agencies?
There's no list listed, but it would be the news. They have just listed right in front the news and other critical communications services.
I know what you mean, but how do I determine? Because I've sold my photographs to a few different agencies over time, right?
Yeah.
Do I need?
I would say unless you're contracted right now currently and you're going to do the images for a company that is going to use them in the news or whatever the critical services are, I would say that you wouldn't be authorized to travel for work.
Well, I totally understand that you feel that way, but I'm trying to find out within the rules we have here.
Yeah, so we are going off. I go off the information that I'm given.
100%, yeah.
If you want, I can put you on a short hold. I can speak to my boss, but I don't think there's any other. We have had cases before about photographers and wanting to know if they can travel for work, but it isn't considered authorized work or essential work.
At the moment, because this job would be for a news event, and then I would sell these photographs, or I would sell these photographs to news agencies.
Okay, I'll just put you on a hold and I'll find out some more information for you.
Thank you. Critical public communications agency list. Mute that for a bit. Tough one, isn't it, guys? No, they've worked out what the rules are. So the first call we had, she thought it was an outdoor gathering, and was like, no, you can't do that. It's an outdoor gathering. Even on your own. You can't outdoor gather on your own outside Sydney. So no. Second call, learned something new. Had no idea about this. Authorized journalism and media services for news and other critical public communications purposes. All right, let's learn about that one. Kind of independent media. Well, what? Yeah, it's you've got to be authorized media, I guess. Yeah. Right. Thanks for coming on this journey, guys. We're trying to learn. We're trying to learn. No, they can't. They define it. I believe they would define it as, and I think they're going to use the term well-known. So ABC 7/9, but I don't know where that leaves. Is Guardian well-known? A lot of people would deem Sky News. Michael West. I don't know if you guys know Michael West. No, come on. Thanks, Sean. I just sell photos when I can. The Saturday paper used my photograph of Friendly Geordies as their front cover. You don't know how much it made me? It's a huge amount. It's a scary amount of money. It was $200. Journalism is not big money. And I'll take this to give you a monologue of why journalism has become so clickbait is people stop paying for it. And if you're not paying for it, you're paying for news that someone else paid for. And people generally only pay for news if it aligns with their point of view. So increasingly, newspapers have become activist magazines. Just how it is. The only way they can keep their head above water. So where she was mentioning here about journalism, let's have a look in the legislation. Journal. No news. 50 page. Oh wait. Retail. Oh, okay, so you can sell newspapers. But newspapers. Right. So maybe she's talking about different legislation. Because this is the Delta one. I dropped an email to. So something that I do with most protests in the city is I just drop the police media unit an email saying, "Hey, I'm going to be in there. If you need to contact me, here I am, and here's where I'll be streaming." And that's useful for them, so that they want to know who's in the city and what's happening. So you drop them an email, you let them know that you'll be in there, approximately what time you'll be getting in there, and what path it is, so that they just someone in the POC knows who it is and what's happening. You just try and keep as open, as honest about what's happening as it is, because you don't want to be seen as an agitator or troublemaker, because you're not, but they don't know that. Whenever they see someone at a protest, they assume everyone is out to be an agitator, cause trouble. From their point of view, if you're trained to stop riots, all you see are rioters. So yeah, maybe I should. I didn't want to jump to that one because it's such a divisive term. And that's exactly what we're seeing here is if it's photography, well, it doesn't matter who it's for. If it's journalism, it very much matters who it's for. It's very judgmental as to, well, who's a journalist? What is a journalist? There's a certain limit of what credibility is. A lower bound. Was just anyone a journalist? anyone can be a photographer, but not just anyone can be a journalist. It's hard. It's hard. And that's what we're exploring. Do I meet the minimum bound for what a journalist is? I think I'm going to be able to call now, and I'll call straight back and I'll get a completely different answer. And I'd love it if you could join me. If you have other things to do at home, please go and do them. This is dreary, but I think there's many of you who want to know the answers to these questions. And this is journalism, what we're doing right here. Like trying to answer this question, going through the government of what we can and can't do. I think this is journalism. And I know it's a very dreary, long form of journalism. Normally it's presented to you in a quick 3-minute cut. I'm sorry, I'm working it out myself, but come with me on this long journey to work out if it is or not. Yeah, it would be. It would be just easy. Australia's terrible. It's awful. It's more complex than that. People are afraid. People are really afraid of each other, of everything. So I am. No, like not like a joke. I actually am. I think where they're moving towards is that they'll want a contract from. Wait, why don't I just contract to myself?
Are you still there?
Yep, I'm still here. Thank you.
No, that's all right. So I've just spoken to my team leader. He said the same thing to me. Basically, we literally have no other information other than that page. So if you can prove that you are going to sell the photos to media outlets or journalism, it's for journalism, etc. If you can prove that that is the purpose of the work, then you should be fine to go ahead and apply for the travel registration. However, we have no other information. He has advised if you still aren't happy with this response, the only other thing you could do is to seek legal advice or to call the police helpline.
Police helpline. Okay, cool. I know you may not know the answer to it, but here's what I plan to do, which is I already take a copy of the email I send to the police media unit with me, letting them know when I'm going places where there might be police activity, which I'm going to, take photos of. It has a copy of my ID on the paper so that I can hand it to the officer. He can go back to his car and do whatever he needs to do. Following on from my learnings today and your help in navigating the Service New South Wales website, I will now bring some of my published works with me to show that it happens, and maybe emails showing what from myself to a news agency saying what I plan to do, just to try and help illustrate to the officer what I'll be doing. Okay.
Yeah. So as long as you can prove on your end to the best of your ability that you do engage in journalism and that it will be used for journalism purposes, you will sell it, it is authorized work, then that should be fine to go ahead. But we have no other information.
Okay. All right. Very helpful. Thank you. I know there's lots of calls like this, but just trying to. Yeah, it's tough. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, that's all right. Thank you very much. Thanks. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
I'm going to call straight back and I'm going to get another different response.
Welcome to Service New South Wales. Please listen carefully as our options have recently changed. If you or your business have been impacted by COVID, please note your call may be recorded or monitored for quality and training purposes.
The next operator might refuse the recording, but whatever. That's fine.
Please visit www.service.nsw.gov.au. If you are calling about financial
first, thought I was going to an outdoor gathering, no go. Second, I can be a journalist, but I have to be selling it to a news or critical public communication agency. Okay. All right. Is that my own agency? We'll assume no. I don't meet the bar. I know, authorized news agency. I know the Soviet communism. You're right, but we don't have the time to get into the panic because then we end up afraid. I think under these rules, there is a minimum bar for what you're allowed to leave home to journalism. I think we're there. I think we're at that point. That if your journalism is not deemed critical, no go. Yes. Yeah. Unless it's paid, it's not considered. Yeah. I think we're there. I think we're there. I don't think membership to the Federation of Journalists is enough. I think it needs to be paid, or have the potential of being paid. No, or have been paid in the past. Now, this is where we get into kind of loopholes.
Good afternoon, Service New South Wales. How can I help you?
I think that was the same lady. So we'll just.
Welcome to Service New South Wales. Please listen carefully as our options have recently changed.
I think that was the same lady. So there's no point talking to the same person twice.
If you are calling about a business rebate, applications are now open. Please visit www.service.nsw.gov.au. If you are calling about
I'm speaking with the Villain Report
please visit
tomorrow. Who else spoke to me? Oh, Elijah Schaefer from The Blaze dropped me a message. So that was good.
Note,
Yep.
your call may be recorded or monitored for quality and
And so it
training
is.
purposes.
You want to know what you can do?
Hello, welcome to Service New South Wales. You're speaking with James. How may I help you?
Hey, James, Chris here. I'm just going to record this call if that's okay. I've got some questions about leaving home, as I think a lot of people do. In particular, there's a protest happening in Gosford. I work as a journalist. I'm registered with the International Federation of Journalists. I've dropped an email to the police media unit, and I want to go and cover it. And the rules changed on the 29th, effective the 30th, and I really could use your help. What am I allowed to do?
Wow, that's an interesting one. I have not been provided. I mean, as a journalist, it is a public space. I don't think there is anything that stops you from attending if you are covering it for the purpose of for journalistic purposes. I don't. I mean, if you've registered with the local police and informed them that you will be attending, I don't see what the issue is. Just please try and, for your own safety, just please be very, please be very mindful of your safety. But I don't think there is any. When's this protest due, sir?
Tomorrow, and I've done Sydney protest before. I'm used to the gig there, but what I haven't done is one outside Greater Sydney. I'm not in Gosford, outside Greater Sydney.
Okay, sorry. I should have asked. Do you reside in Sydney?
I reside in Sydney, not in an LGA of concern. I am not fully vaccinated, and I do not have a test within the last 40. I don't have a test of the last couple of days.
Okay.
But
please.
Oh, yes, please.
Yes.
I was just going to say, but the protest is not more than 50 kilometres from Greater Sydney.
Okay, yeah, it's in Central Coast, Gosford. Okay, bear with me just one moment. I'm just going to have a look through my notes. I'm just going to have a look at the latest notes that I have in regards to travel. Just bear with me. I'm just we get updated notes on a daily basis. Bear with me. I'm just going to go through. think there is that 50k ruling. Okay. Thank you for your patience.
No, mate. I've been at this for an hour and a half, and I gave my local PD command a call, and I got 2 different answers. And yeah, yeah, it's hard.
There is a lot of confusion. Hang on. Okay. All right. Well, you would be deemed an authorised worker. The media is still operating during this, and you would come down under that category.
Got it.
But does not require.
I'm a member of the International Federation of Journalists. I've sold my photos before. One of the PDs said, unless a news agency gives me a contract for this day, they had a concern whether I could go. And I said, well, that's not how photos work. You send them the photos, and then if they like any of them, they say, we'll send you a contract to pay for them. You know, they don't just...
But that's true. That's true. Yes. That's... Okay, yeah. So, okay, like you're a freelancer. Okay.
Everyone's...
No, that's...
There's so few in-house photogs left now. It's all freelance. So many of them.
That's true. That's... Yes. That's why it's become real dog-eat-dog now. Okay. The system unavailable by itself. Someone living outside Greater Sydney needed to enter. No. If I live in a rural but work in no. Okay. How do I know if I need to apply for travel registration when intending to leave Greater Sydney? Okay, you should also check the eligibility on the travel registration page. Okay, so you've said you do not live in an LGA of high concern?
No.
Okay, bear with me one moment. Okay. Now here's this section. I'm going to look at down. I'm going to analyse this particular section with great interest. It says, how do I know if I need to apply for a travel registration when intending on leaving Greater Sydney? Before you travel, check that you have a reasonable excuse to leave home. Well, you work in the media industry.
Yep.
Yes, you have a reasonable excuse to leave home, and then it says in point form, you should also check the eligibility on the travel registration service New South Wales page.
Yep.
Okay, bear with me one moment, please. I'm just checking eligibility.
Yeah. I'm not in.
Eligibility, okay. It says you'll need to register your travel if you're an authorised worker living in a government area of concern and you need to leave your area for work. This includes another LGA of concern. Okay. That doesn't apply to you.
No.
Because you're not residing in an LGA of concern. Entering an LGA of concern for work, also known as a worker's permit. No. Okay. That's...
No.
Okay, but you're not in... You're not entering another LGA of concern.
No.
So that doesn't apply there. From a non-area of concern, and you need to travel more than 50 k's outside of Sydney for work.
No.
And look, I would, it says here on the third point, from a non-area of concern and you need to travel more than 50 k's outside of Greater Sydney for work and you cannot work from home. Do you know approximately the distance between Sydney and the Central Coast?
I used the address map tool, and it is not, and it is not more than 50 kilometres outside Greater Sydney, which is the Hawkesbury.
That's cool. That's fine. What I would suggest what I really would suggest is please just try and apply for the authorised worker registration or permit. I would just try and apply for it regardless, because you've got nothing to lose by having it regardless.
Yeah, get one.
So,
Take one.
Sorry?
Yeah, you're right. Just grab one. Yeah, have a go.
I think you should apply for one. Just it'll get you on the better side of the police.
Yeah.
If they do question you. Okay, so like for that third point, entering an LGA of concern for work or from a non-area of concern, and you need to travel more than 50 k's outside of Greater Sydney for work, and you cannot work from home. Look, I believe that's subjective. Some police may deem that 50 k's from the CBD or 50 k's from the tip of Hornsby, where you turn. When you're on the highway and on the highway, and then you turn right into that into the freeway all the way up to the Central Coast.
Yep.
So I would just for your own safekeeping, I would still apply for the authorised worker permit or the travel registration. It's all the same thing, but it's just got different titles. So, I mean, if there isn't enough to confuse everyone at this moment in time, I would still apply for that. Just for your safekeeping, I would still apply for it regardless, and just having it with you if you are approached and questioned by police. I mean, if you have that legitimate document with you or on your phone or in a printed hard copy, I mean, that'll give one less excuse for police to direct you with a move along order or to stop you from working.
Can do.
So, I mean, and also it'll provide you with a bit more legitimate.
Subjective.
You'll look a lot more legitimate in front of the police if you do have that document with you.
No, sounds good.
So please, so that's my recommendation. Now I'm just searching for is there anything else required. I honestly just you got nothing to lose by having that document with you. So I would certainly recommend it. You are travelling for. You are travelling for because you're an authorised worker. You are travelling for legitimate work purposes, so that's not a problem. There's nothing illegal in you wanting to attend that rally, to cover that rally on a journalistic or photojournalistic purposes. But please be very mindful that police still. They do have discretionary powers. Police can approach you and ask you not to continue. Even if you are on a public space, please be mindful that regardless of what Services New South Wales or New South Wales Health says and what their recommendations, their guidelines, what they publish on their websites, please be very mindful that New South Wales Police, each individual police officer has discretionary powers to override. If they deem the situation or the environment to be maybe dangerous and not appropriate, they can approach you and ask you to leave. So please be very mindful of that.
Of course.
There will always, like I said, there's nothing illegal in you travelling up there and registering as an authorised worker, but please be very mindful that if they look around and if the protest gets out of control and they deem the situation dangerous, they can direct you to go to leave and go back to Sydney. So please be very mindful of that. Was there anything? I hope I've cleared up your queries. Is there anything else that I can assist you with?
No, that's it. I'm used to the ones in Sydney. It's just the distance question I had about the non-area of concern, less than 50, but outside greater. Which trying to navigate, and no, that's been helpful. Thanks, James.
Not a problem. It is a very difficult situation to navigate. It's impossible for the government to create a blanket black and white law, because everyone's situation and circumstances are unique and very different. Hence why there's been a lot of confusion. But let me assure you, they are doing their best to create a good balance.
It's hard. It's hard. It's really hard.
It is very, very difficult, and that's why there is a lot of confusion in the community. But look, good luck with it. And yeah, like I said, just please be very mindful that police. I would actually, and I would prior to the protest, I would enter the local police station and just introduce yourself to one of the senior members there, and just explain that you are a freelance journalist, a photojournalist, and you're here to cover the protest as a journalist, and just identify yourself with the police officer first, and just say that I just wanted to give you the heads up first, and just introduce myself in case things may get out of control, and I'm not mistaken as a protester. And just please take your did you say you had an MEAA pass or something?
I do. IFG. Yes. How did you know far too much about this? This is brilliant, because all the advice you're giving is pretty much what I did when I first started covering protests. Is I'd go up to the guy in charge in the field and be like, "G'day, mate. You'll see me around today, and my name's Chris.
Yeah.
If you need anything," and I'd offer the CO my card.
I may have been involved in media in my past, so I have, but yeah, so I have a slight idea of I mean, the operations of it. So yeah, that's why I suggest to please just identify yourself with the local police officer, or maybe one of the senior police officers, and just politely, just diplomatically explain that you're here as a journalist to cover the protest, but you just want to introduce yourself and let the police know in advance, and just ensure there's no misunderstandings later. That's always a good thing. So yeah, hence why I was making those suggestions. So please, if you have your ME double pass there and that international, the other one that you mentioned,
same pass, yeah,
have those passes with you to give you more legitimacy. There are a lot of now. The reason why I suggested that you do contact or at least identify yourself to the police prior. There is a lot of people that will be taking, obviously recording things on their phones and then publishing it on social media, and describing themselves as a quasi journalist or investigator of some form. So, so I think identifying yourself with the police and just informing them of your legitimacy would put you on the better side. And because I do know in one of the protests there was media that were assaulted. So just like I said, just get yourself on the good side of the police first, or just explain your purposes and intentions first of all, and I think they'll respect that.
They do.
They'll respect that.
I was standing right next to Avadia from 7 when he got roughed up. I got roughed up myself at that big protest as well. Screen smashed.
Oh, I did look. Okay, that's probably what I was thinking of. I do apologize.
Apologize? Not at all. I'm delighted that you're aware that it was happening. Most
Yeah, well, I wasn't aware that I may have been speaking to when I was thinking of that footage of Abadia, and I do recall that there was people around him that were also targeted. So I wasn't aware that I was speaking to the actual person involved. Hence why I felt compelled to apologise. But stay safe regardless.
Thanks, mate.
Is there anything else I can assist you with?
No. Check out my coverage on Chris Coveries, and James, you've been enormously helpful. Thank you again.
Not a problem. And just out of curiosity, when is this protest? I'll look out for it on the news.
It's the truckies protest. It's rumored to be another one tomorrow, but I think it's going to be a flop. But getting outside of Sydney is hard because of these rules, and I just wanted to try and
The truckies project. That's right. There was something I do recall. Seeing something about that recently. Yes. Okay, yeah. I think it got a bit more publicity recently because Pauline Hanson was involved with one of them. So
she absolutely was, yeah. She got one of them to stand down. That said, the September 18th is that's the next big one, and that's going to be intense, I think. Again.
Okay. Well, please look after yourself. Stay safe. Anything else I can help you with, mate? Before.
No, mate, I'm delighted. Okay. Please look me up. I hope you'll watch me sometime and get some value out of it. And mate, thank you again. Thank you, mate.
Not a problem. Look, pleasure speaking to you. And thank you for calling Service New South Wales. And like I said, take care of yourself.
Thanks, Jane. Cheers, mate.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye. Gosh, when you're so satisfied you can practically taste it. Not necessarily because I got the answer I was looking for either. He gets it. He gets it a lot. And James, if you're watching out there, please drop me a message because you get it. Did we get an answer to the question? Yes. Was he sure himself? No, he interpreted it. This is an unclear one, and he's absolutely right. He gets it that this is hard for the guys making the rules. I know we're angry with the rules, but getting angry with James or a police officer won't help. Now, getting angry with a guy who, like Harrison, treated me like that, that's different. He's not enforcing those rules. He's enforcing his whims. That's something different. 3 calls to Service New South Wales, 3 different interpretations. I could give the local PD a call with you, but they're going to give different interpretations as well. Main point is apply to be an authorized worker and apply for an authorized worker travel permit. Let me have a look at some of the... Yep. Look, that was an absolutely fascinating guy to speak with, and I hope he finds me. And I think he even I think he even saw me getting roughed up and my stuff smashed. I think he actually saw that, and I think he didn't realize he was speaking with me. So yeah, no, amazing. Legend. What a great guy. That's amazing. So possibly a subscriber. So no, amazing. Don't argue with the police. It's yeah, everybody, even people who don't like me like James. Fantastic. But yeah, don't argue with the police. Right. Do I have an answer? Register for a travel permit. Print out the communications I've had with the different papers that have bought stuff from me. Guys, when did our bubble get so small? It seemed a lot bigger just a week ago. Do what we need to, but yeah, it got awfully small. I know I'll certainly feel very concerned if I'm not able to attend protests because I'm one of the last guys who are able to go. Whether the protests occur or not isn't the point. People are willing to break the law to go to these protests, and I don't feel like the media covers them honestly. I've got my own slant on it. I call things ridiculous. All of it's ridiculous. It's a clown world. The way that the media dance around and hype things up. Oh my God. And I know they need to do it for the views, to keep the subscribers and to keep their advertisers happy, but come on. Anyway. Thank you for joining me on this journey. For how long have we been doing this for? Thank you for joining me for the past almost 90 minutes of who wants to go outside. Oh, goodness me. Fascinating stuff. COVID safety plan. Very good point. I need to do a COVID safety... Wait, how can I do a COVID safety plan for my own? It's the event that does the safety plan. Anyway. All right, guys. I got up early to go head north. I'm probably going to get some boys knock at the door later on today to make sure they're home. I'll greet them, be as polite as I can. Hopefully go to the next protest. This isn't a reflection on the police as a whole. It's just one guy on a bad day just being mean. He was being mean, right? This isn't a broad thing. Most of the police officers I've met have actually been really good. I've had great visits. It's been nice. They're all people. And I think Harrison has just been facing a lot of it. I'll drop an email to Gosford Command and just say, hey guys, I had this interaction with Harrison today. I've done a small piece on it and shared it with my followers. I'd like the opportunity for you to respond, either by phone, video, or just an email. I'll ask them some questions. And yeah, it'll be nice. All right, guys. Thank you for a remarkable number of people watching along with this, essentially browsing the Service New South Wales website, which is so bureaucratic. Deborah, you've been watching me since one of the first protests I ever went to. Thank you for joining me. It's good to see you again. And yeah, I'm going to go and have a little lie down after all that. All right. See you, everyone. Bye.